Yo, 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 welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. And before we get to our guest today, we have a big shout out for Living Sisu. Living Sisu is a platform and app that wants to give you all the tools to have success in your sport. Their main objective is to activate your lifestyle. So it's for active people. Enjoy discounts at companies like BioSteel, 30% off, Body Logics, the Goalie Guild, all his books are discounted. Roan, Lululemon for men, 20% off, online stretching programs with Eccentrics, 1 full month free. They got super silent massage guns, 20% off those. And it's a great quality. It's way less expensive than a Theragun, and it's great quality. So there's so many more discounts that you guys will need to just become a member to see. So they want to provide you with anything you need for success. So come join the community. I'm a part of it. A bunch of other athletes are a part of it. So it's free to join. It takes 20 seconds to get exclusive offers to your sport, and it's definitely worth it. So do us a huge favor and go sign up for Living Sisu's membership. It's free, 20 takes 20 seconds. So go do it, and we'll see you there. Living Sisu is a great company. We know one of the co-founders, Zach Fricali. He's a great guy. He's the co-founder. He does a lot of live streams on Instagram at Living Sisu, and with a bunch of elite athletes, and you learn a lot from like the athletes' determination, their resiliency, everything to what made them become successful. So it's been a great experience so far. So go on. I'm gonna leave the link in the description. So go sign up. Yo, welcome back to another episode of On Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and in today's episode we are joined by a very special guest, current professional hockey player John Schiavo. He last played in the SPHL last season with the Huntsville Havoc and has signed to play in the ECHL this year with the Kansas City Mavericks, where he has played in one game so far this season, but he's going to be playing a lot more there. This will be John's 7th season of pro hockey. John has played in the Federal Hockey League, the Southern Professional Hockey League, and the East Coast Hockey League throughout his pro career. He spent his junior hockey days in the BCHL, the MetJHL, the ATJHL, and the USPHL Premier, as well as being an incredible ice hockey player. He's also an incredible roller hockey player, where he's won the IIHF World Inline Championship in 2017 and the World Roller Games Championship in 2019. So he's had himself quite the roller hockey and the ice hockey career so far. So it's gonna be a fun one. So welcome to the show, John Schiavo.
Thanks for having me. What an intro. Holy teams, and it brings me so many good memories, and time's flying, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be good to talk some experiences, talk some hockey with you and throughout your career. So to start things off here, like, can you give our viewers a little background information on yourself, like when you started playing hockey, why you started, and like what youth hockey was like for you growing up, as well as like your roller hockey career as well?
Yeah, so for me, it started with my dad and mom back in Long Island, New York. Just played a bunch of street hockey, a bunch of roller hockey at a local rink called Rapid Fire Arena, not too far from my house. So roller hockey is a little bit cheaper, as most of you probably know. Ice hockey is a little expensive in New York, but a little bit more expensive everywhere. So I was lucky enough. My dad got me in skates around 3-4 years old. Was always skating around, outside of the rink when he had his men's league games, and had a stick in my hand. I feel like every picture I saw growing up when I was, baby, all the way up to, I still can't remember, but I always had a mini stick or a broken stick or something like that. So I felt like it must have been in my blood right away, and loved skating around, seeing all the videos on rollerblades, buzzing around the street and driveway with my grandparents too. And started there on Long Island, and I feel like I loved it right away.
Yeah, that's an awesome backstory, and especially for like how you started and like where you are now. Like you must be just thinking about all the memories right now, and just thinking about like where you started and like where you're at now, and like all the experiences you've gone through, like all the different championships you won, and just everything like that. It's like must be an incredible feeling just to think about.
Oh, definitely nice to look back on it, and hard to sometimes cherish the moments when things are going on. I think the pandemic actually gave a lot of us an awakening, and that's where maybe I had a little bit more time to think than usual. And Even thinking back on things, before pandemic and big crowds and incredible memories, to then, it getting stopped for a little while and everyone really, really missing the game hardcore, and then coming back to it, you're like, wow, count your blessings, because you don't really know, nowadays anything could happen like that at any minute.
Yeah, absolutely. So throughout like that time, like what were you doing? Like since you couldn't like really go on the ice because like restrictions, I'm sure there was some leanway because you were playing, but like what were you doing during that time to help prepare yourselves for whenever like you guys were gonna play games again?
Yeah, I think for me, I assumed that it was going to be a long time. I just had a weird feeling like when it all started, it didn't look too bright for me, playing and trying to think family first, and didn't really know what the right direction was, and ended up spending a lot of time in Minnesota working on my clothing company and doing a lot of things like that. I have a training facility in New York, so that was shut down. No one was coming by training, couldn't do anything like that. So worked a ton on our clothing brands. Did a bunch of stuff, away from the game, but in the game. I was doing a ton of training on my Mars blades. Obviously, a lot of parks were closed, but if you were there by yourself or with a small group, it was fine. So we had an awesome little roller training group going for a couple months. I think I was off the ice for maybe almost 4 months. It was like 3.5 months. And then got back on the ice. It was full throttle, small groups, totally different. But we were able to start skating. And at one point, it felt like we were 2 years away from playing, but it was only a handful of months. And then I felt like I was more prepared than ever. I had so much time to train. I did all the right things. I was taking care of myself. Body got a little bit of time to rest more than normal. And then came into that last season, ready to go, a little different, getting back into game situations, stuff like that. But I think we were all really excited to get back after it, and happy that it was a success.
Yeah, absolutely. And like throughout like the pandemic, like that's something I picked up as roller hockey, as well as like just being able to think to yourself and like do everything you can to, because mental health and like all that's like super important. But like picked up roller hockey, like got a squad to go to the inline rink and just shoot around or just skate like in the streets or wherever you found room to do it when you were able to. And like it definitely does help skills translate from the roller side of things to the ice side when you come back, because maybe not all like smoothly, but a lot of the things translate over.
Yeah, it was funny. I just had a conversation with someone on Instagram the other day. They were asking me, do you cut your stick down more when you're training on roller? Do you like stick handling on feet? Do you like stick handling on wheels? Like, what do you do off the ice to train? And I was like, my whole life, I just trained. Like, if you look at the big picture, like I'm playing roller hockey in the summers, I play ice hockey during the winters. I'm doing trick shot videos, traveling around doing camps. Like I always have a stick in my hand and I'm always training. So it's like super deeker, unbelievable machine that I use, stick handling training. I use a golf ball on the street. Like I think anyone just gets out of their, room, gets off the couch, does anything. Doesn't matter how tall your stick is, could be a lefty stick and you're a righty. Like if you're doing anything, it's going to help you as long as you have a stick in your hand, you're working on your game and you're training hard. I think it's how much you can push yourself. Like no excuses. If your stick isn't cut down, you can't go on your feet and just get some work in. So I
Yeah.
love being on wheels. I train on wheels all the time. I was training on wheels yesterday, a little bit extra after one of our skates here, a rink about 20 minutes away. And I was just out there for 2 hours. Clears your brain, stick handling, shooting a ton of pucks, just having fun with it. I mean, I love roller more than anything, and 100%. I think it translates. It's made me the player I am.
Yeah, anywhere, like anywhere you can stick handle, shoot around, like just do that. It doesn't matter if you're on wheels, on feet, like on skates, like any type of practice is definitely well worth it. Yeah, so we'll come back to roller. I want to talk about roller hockey at the end of this episode a little bit, and just like about your experience and all that. But I want to start things off here with like, how's this season going? Like you're in Kansas City with the Mavericks this year in the ECHL and the East Coast Hockey League. So how's everything going in Kansas City, and for you personally and for the team?
It's going good. Our team, we are 2-2 right now. Got a really big weekend here, home and away. So I would say a good start. I mean, everyone has an off season. You know, we played well our games. Just lost 2-1-2. I only played one game so far, but I was super excited to have such a great camp. I came in prepared. I came in ready to go. Play as hard as I could. I was one of three players, I think, on a tryout. I ended up signing a contract, which was fantastic. Been a couple years since I've been in the East Coast Hockey League, and this is definitely a place I want to play. This was my goal to be back here. My goal was to be here a little bit sooner from my last trip here, but takes time. Things fall into place, and I was just super happy with how hard I worked and little things I did to get noticed to be on the team and hopefully do anything to help the team win when I'm in, and getting ready for a long season. 72 games. There's a lot of ice time to go around. A lot of fantastic players here. We have a really, really good squad in Kansas City. A lot of older guys, a couple of American League guys. So doing everything we can to win, working hard right now, practicing a ton of things, only a couple of weeks in. So plenty of time, a long season to go, and I'm super excited to be back in Kansas City.
Absolutely, you're excited. Everyone's excited for hockey to be starting back up and start. It's officially started, right? It's like on a roll already. But what made you want to be back in Kansas City when you got the opportunity to try out for the Mavericks again? Like what made it be like I want to stay in Missouri and Kansas City?
It's crazy. Like my first year pro 7 years ago, I had signed here, played 5 games here. It was really, really rocky start to my pro career. Things didn't work out with college. Ended up being here, only playing 5 games in so many months, and then being in the SP, I ended up going through some personal stuff, and then ended up just leaving a little early from the SP season. And then that's when I kind of started bouncing around and had to start really making a name for myself, and went through even harder times because of that first year, which was fine. I had to learn the hard way, and it was really tough on the mental, but got through it and made it out of there. And then when that first trip I was here, I loved Kansas City. I was here for so long, and I got so many experiences, even if I didn't play that many games. Then I got a second chance here only a handful of years ago, played about 20 games, thought I did really, really well, did everything I could to stay on the team, to do well. We ended up not making playoffs, and then Kansas City went into a huge rebuild. So my chances of playing here, and any guys that were playing here, they all kind of got kibosh and changed a lot of staff. So now it's completely new, new front office, new coaching staff, new, literally almost everybody. No one's the same from when I was here the last time. And when I talked to the coach, we kind of had a good relationship already. Know me, from years past. Know me from when I was playing juniors. We had an awesome conversation. I talked to a couple other teams, and I just said the second that Kansas City called, it was I have unfinished business. I couldn't wait to come back. I couldn't wait to be back in the city. The fans here are incredible. I've came back. I've ran a camp here for kids. I just love the city. I have something for the city. Obviously, playing some of my first pro games, playing my only ECHL games with a Mavs jersey on. So it means a lot, and I was really excited for the tryout. And I think that's also what made me extra excited to tear it up and do literally everything I can to be on this team and to bring positive to Kansas City in the way that I can, and really, really happy to be back.
Yeah, that's awesome. That just proves that you want to be there because you had those camps there and you had great experiences there when you first came, and went a couple years after that when you're in Kansas City again, all those memories, and that you have unfinished business and you wanna help the team get to a championship and win some games.
Definitely, 100%.
Yeah. So is this season a lot more different? Well, obviously it's probably a little more lenient in terms of restrictions and all that from what you had in the SB last year. But what's it like this year with all the restrictions and just having it be a little looser this year?
Yeah, I would say it's getting back to as normal as we're probably going to get it. A lot of the guys in the league, American League, NHL, a lot of guys are vaccinated now, and it's just making things a lot more normal. Everyone's still being safe, everyone's still being careful, but a lot more normal. Last year was pretty crazy in the SP. I would say it was pretty crazy for any pro leagues with just the little details. You're just not used to wearing a mask. You're not used to getting your temperature taken before you walk in any rink. Everything was a little bit slower, no eating out, no going to places like a mall or whatever to, even get groceries or shop or do anything like that. So I think now it's just a little bit more lenient. You still got to be smart, still be careful. A lot of times, sometimes we're still wearing masks out just to be a little bit safer. And the little things right now, I think it goes a long way, in the world and in the hockey world, if we're trying to do as best we can to stay safe, not spread this thing and get back to full normalcy, because that's what obviously we all want. But it's nice, playing in front of really, really good crowds right now. And last year, I mean, even with everyone wearing a mask in Huntsville, we were packing it as much as we could within the range of the COVID restrictions. And it was jamming last year. It really was. A couple of those games, I was like, wow, it looks pretty packed up there. But they were following by the rules, and we had an awesome crowd. So it's definitely cool to know that it's settling down and feeling a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit different this year to last year. So I want to get in it last year a little bit. So last season you played in the SPHL for the Huntsville Havoc, like you said, where you played 42 games with notching 12 goals, 16 assists for 28 points. So like what was the season like for you and the team overall, and like the struggles you guys had to face, like we've talked about, like with the restrictions and just like the limited capacity with fans?
Yeah, it was a little bit different. We had a good core coming back. We had a pretty good start. A lot of us actually got COVID very early in the season, so we kind of got that out of the way and then got back to work. Near the end of the season, we went on a little bit of a rough road. Even personally, I think I was, bunch of games straight. Our power play wasn't scoring, or my line wasn't playing the best. We were changing everything up, and then getting to the playoffs, like we ended up just getting swept in the playoffs by Macon. We just had a tough time playing against them last year. So not the best season, especially off of the year prior to COVID, winning the championship with Huntsville in 2019, and then the season getting shut down when we were playing so good. And then we restart a new season, and we just couldn't pull it together in the right amount of time, and ended up losing the first round, which really hurt to try to defend that title, and we couldn't. But a little bit of a rocky season, but we did all that we could.
Yeah, absolutely. At least you guys did what you guys could to have a successful season during that weird time, and just to be able to do what you guys did. Like it's pretty incredible. Look back, just even with the struggles and everything, like you guys made it through the entire season. Like that's something that you could hold yourself accountable for.
Definitely. A lot of people didn't play last year. A lot of people didn't have jobs last year. So many teams, not in the coast. Half of the teams only play in the SP. So SP was an incredible league last year. So many guys that were looking for jobs that couldn't, that have been solid SP players for so long. So I think a lot of us were just lucky. Yeah, we were saying we're very thankful that we got to play.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, what was it like with like limited capacity? Like, I know you guys in Huntsville try to pack it as much as you can, like going to some other places where it might not be as packed. Like, what was that like? And did you like feel any differences from a good like bump and barn and when there's like no fans there?
Yeah, I think it's different. Like we didn't have it like the NHL bubble or something like that, where there was literally no one in the stands. So there was always like some people in the stands. I think a lot of us, like I said, were sitting out for so long in that long summer. We were just excited to play in front of any fans. And I think
Yeah.
all five teams in SP last year did a good job of, getting their fans in there, having them separated, making the sections look as crowded as they could. And then a lot of times the fans were really loud. So we were really lucky. Like we didn't have a game where it was, completely empty, or even probably under 50% empty. So every rink was pretty good. But I actually couldn't imagine playing in the NHL bubble. Like you're playing at the highest level in hockey, and there was literally
There's like
just staff
nothing.
staff in the building. So I think that would be a heck of an experience to see, like playing your first ever NHL game and there was no fans. Like that has to be crazy.
The staff's got to go crazy. They got to be part of like the atmosphere that they have to recreate that fan atmosphere.
Exactly. That'd be wild. They're just screaming from the stands.
That'd be awesome. But like throughout like that season in Huntsville, like what were some of your favorite memories from that past season, especially since like especially since like it's such an odd season, like we've been talking about. Like you had to have some good memories from that season.
Yeah, really good memories. Lived with two really good guys, Kyle Rhodes and Matthew Barnaby. So got super tight with them. Like we had little pods, like you know, your roommates you were hanging with the most, and um, trying to stay with them when you even go out and grab some food, do all these things. So I got super tight with them. Great guys, both grinding it out on the coast right now. There was a lot of team things towards the end of the year, so just being with the guys was great. Like that was our getting out and hanging
Yeah.
out. So a lot of off ice stuff that was, you know, super nice that sometimes you don't appreciate all that much. It's just like bonding. And then when you're in a season like that where, you know, you're not going anywhere else, so you're just with the guys, you're able to just relax and, you know, watch a football game or something like that, and just get away from, you know, hockey for a little bit and try to get away from thinking about the pandemic for a little bit. Was definitely nice. And that was kind of the things we were doing, was just, you know, relaxing, playing a little bit of golf, and trying to hang out and stay away from doing anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we go into the following year, the 2019-2020 season, where you spent the full year in the SB with Quad City and Huntsville Havoc once again. You played in 14 games with Quad City before going on to Huntsville with 27. So like what was your time like in Quad City and then getting traded to Huntsville?
It was crazy. Yeah, we won the championship, and then I went to Quad City for that short stint. Was super excited. Loved the city. Had a lot of good friends on the team. We looked really good. Had a little bit of a rocky start there. Um, it just went by so fast. Like playing there was great. I loved it. It was probably I don't want to say it wrong, but probably my second favorite place to play in the SP, just because like fan was great, ownership was great. You know, the boys were good. Got taken care of the right way. And then I ended up coming back to Huntsville. Had no clue. Obviously, I never wanted to really leave Huntsville after the championship. Things in the summer were just, I was, to be honest, I was just being a little bit selfish, and, you know, wanted a better contract, didn't get protected. You know, wasn't sure what was going to happen, kind of bouncing out of Huntsville already. So I was like, you know what, let me try and just do this for myself. And I think I was the only guy on the team to leave after the championship. And we played Huntsville the first game at home when I was with Quad City. And I got my championship ring the night before with the team. And then we ended up winning. Then they ended up beating us the next night. And I just remember like texting all the guys after the game being like, miss you guys. Like, you know, so weird being on the other side. And that was really it. It just kind of ended there. And then weeks go by. I was playing pretty good hockey. Our team was up and down, winning, losing. And then get called in as we're doing a workout, and like, hey, you just got traded to Fayetteville, and talked to Fayetteville 5 minutes later. And Fayetteville was like, yeah, we already traded you back to Huntsville. I was like, holy smokes. Like what a
Right?
whirlwind and change of
Good,
events. And no,
quick
I couldn't be
turnaround.
happier. Yeah. Quick turnaround. Couldn't believe that's how it went down. And obviously had no idea what was happening. I was an assistant captain on Quad City. Like I said, was playing good at the time. So I was being a good leader, you know, good in the room. Guys, we were all just grinding. It was a tough start. And back in Huntsville, wasn't mad about it. Was super jazzed about it. Super pumped about it. Obviously, I love the guys there. Still love all the guys there. Um, and then we went on that. You know, we went on a really good run there, and then pandemic happened. So kind of a tough break for that season, but everyone had to deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you got that assistant captain on you got that A on your jersey. So like what did you have to do to take on that leadership, and like what did you learn from taking that role on?
Yeah, I mean, it was an honor. I played a lot of pro hockey. You know, winning a couple championships, whether it's roller and ice, I felt like I could definitely be, you know, that type of leader in the room, leader on the rink, lead by example type guy. And didn't really change much. Was definitely still myself. I'm always doing a lot of extra on the ice, doing a lot of extra off the ice, taking care of myself. So it wasn't too much of a change for me. And there we were very family oriented. A lot of team events, we'd spend Thanksgiving together. We're doing all these things in Quad City, which was really nice. Definitely an honor to wear an A in pro hockey. It was obviously the first time I ever had any letter in pro ice hockey. So Was an incredible honor, and like I said, I didn't really change much. I was just still being myself and just lead by example.
Yeah, and that's awesome that you didn't change, because some guys would change, but you didn't have to change. And like the whole organization like seemed to be very family oriented, like you said. Like that also probably helps with like leadership, because you got all the families you gotta look out for, as well as on the ice with the boys.
Definitely.
So then you go on to the following year where you win that championship with Huntsville Havocs. Like, what was that crazy year like? And just being able to going from like start to finish, like what was that season like?
It was crazy. I had, I think the year prior to that, I was in the ECHL. So I finished that year, did as best I could. We didn't make the playoffs, and then had a great camp, fantastic ECHL camp. I'll never forget it. Tore it up in preseason, did really good in the inner squad, did great in testing, like did everything. Had an awesome off season. Then I ended up going to Pensacola. I played like 5 games there, then just didn't work out, got traded. Played in Evansville, did okay, didn't work out, got released. And now I haven't got released in years from a team, and I was so confused. I just played in the coast the year before. I played really good in Fayetteville right before that. I'm like, what's going on? Like this doesn't seem right. And I had played for Glenn, and Stu's the assistant coach. I played with him as a teammate, then he was a coach. So I ended up calling them as I was a free agent, kind of shaking my head like, I don't even know what just happened. Like this was a whirlwind. I was just in the coast. Now I'm released in the SP. Is what's happening? And then I called them, had a great conversation. Didn't really talk to many other teams. Just kind of ready to just go home, pack it up for the year, and try to regroup. And they had already a full squad. They were already playing really good hockey. They said, "Oh, well, we could bring you in on a tryout, but like, there's no promises. 3 games, give you a shot. You might not even play all 3 games, but we'll give you a shot." And I just told them like, I'm ready to do anything to,
Yeah.
bring my aspect to the team, but also like make the team, like be on the
Yeah.
team and be a very positive. And made the team, ended up getting signed. We had such a good team. I knew right away when I signed, I was like, this team is dangerous. Like we could go a really long way. And I was even fighting for a lineup spot sometimes. I mean, I think when I was in, I was power play, things like that. But if I wasn't in, there was other guys, moving around the lineup. And sometimes I have to be a 10th forward and play power play, or just bouncing all around. But I knew we were so good at, and it felt so good in the locker room. There was just a vibe that everyone had each other's back. Everyone was playing hard for each other. We had it like this wolf pack mentality. That was like our saying. And I mean, pack of wolves are just coming at you every single game. It was a blast. And then get all the way through the season, get to playoffs, and I think we only lost 1 game. It was in the first round. I think we won the first one. We ended up playing at our practice rink, playing Pensacola, win the first game, go on the road, lose the second game. I sat out that game, come back, play the third game at home at our practice rink again, end up winning it, moving on. And then we didn't lose a game, beat Knoxville in 2 games, beat Birmingham in 2 games, won there. On the road, the first game, which was a battle OT winner, my buddy Robbie Dar had a 6-shot snipe for a win. And then came at home, played an awesome game at home. Crowd was standing room only, absolutely rocking. Thought the top was going to blow off the building. We go down 1. I score a goal. We tie. We go up 1. They score 1, tie, and then we go up another, score an empty netter. Bag was sealed. It was unbelievable. The city was rocking. Place was bound to explode at any minute, and celebration of a championship back in Huntsville was a beautiful thing, and I was so thankful to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. What was that atmosphere like when you guys did score that empty netter, and like especially like when it went in, like the crowd erupts, like you said, and the barns rock, and like could you just sense like it's like this is where I want to play for, this is where I want to be, and like this, I'm glad I came to Huntsville.
Yeah, no, I was so happy to come there. I think we had this vibe like when we tied it up, because we won in overtime, so we already had a lot of momentum. And I mean, they just kind of took the wind out of our sails for a minute, and then we got the swagger right back, and we were just playing such good hockey that game. Even if they did score to tie it up or did score to, make it a really, really tight one, I just felt like we had so much momentum to, grind it out. But yeah, once we score that goal and it's a sealed deal, the place was going crazy. Our bench was just alive more than ever. And what a sick city to celebrate a championship in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I bet it was a hell of an after party after.
Yeah, we had a good time. Whole ownership, coaches, whole team, families that were in town. It was definitely a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best times when everyone's together and just enjoying winning a championship, having a few beers, like whatever, just enjoying the night.
Yeah, it was a wild one.
Yeah, for sure. So then in 2016, 2017, this year's second year of pro hockey, you were down in the Federal Hockey League with the Watertown Wolves, where you played 13 games, went to the Danbury Titans, where you played 19. Then you got loaned to Huntsville again in the SP, and then you got loaned again to Mississippi River Kings. Like, what was that crazy year like, especially since it was your first year where you were like actually like traveling and like getting going to other places?
Getting the name Suitcase, yeah,
Getting the name
that was
Suitcase.
that was a crazy year. No, that was my second year, and like I said, the first year went okay. I played the 5 games in the coast and came right out of juniors. I was 21 years old, didn't know too much. Um, Played a little bit in Macon, like I said, and then I left. So when I left, that kind of affected me big time for this year that we're talking about. So when I left SP, they kept my rights. They didn't release my rights. So that's like a very common thing. If you leave, they get to hold on to your rights, and until they need that spot, you're their property. So I had to start bouncing around in the Federal League, get some games in, do as best I can. I honestly struggled in that league. I was having a hard time with my second year pro, just super frustrated, like, why me mentality, a lot of that stuff. And coming off of a year where I just, stopped playing, that doesn't help me either. So a lot of that. And then that's where I really had to like figure it out, bear down. Finally, my rights got released. I ended up playing in Danbury, a little bit closer to where I'm from on Long Island. But a heck of an experience. Met some great people, and then got a little bit of a chance in the SP. Played those 3 games in Mississippi as well. And again, I thought I was playing good. Just that's the nature of the beast sometimes. And after that year, if you look at where I was and where I've bounced back, anything's possible, and it's all about your mindset and how hard you're working and the time that you're putting in, how much you care. Because if someone just looked at my hockey DB for the first, from junior to that second year, they'd be like, well, what happened? Well, no one knows that I played 5 games in however amount of weeks that I was in Kansas City. And then I went to Macon. I was there for only like 4 weeks and played 14 games, but I wasn't right mentally. Like, I wasn't all there mentally. I wasn't playing good. I wasn't getting the opportunity I thought I deserved, which in pro hockey, that doesn't really matter what you think you deserve or what you've done or anything like that. And I had improved myself. So I was very aggravated. I was very frustrated. I was kind of getting beat down into the ground and hadn't played a lot of games that year. So that wasn't helping me either. And, I took that little time away, and then I knew like, oh, when I come back, this is going to get tough. And I saw it all. I saw some crazy long bus trips and played in all these different places I never even knew existed. And then just had to fight and claw my way out of there to get back to the SP and to be in the position I'm in now, 6 years later.
Yeah, for sure. It's like looking back at it, like what was the biggest takeaway that you took from that season, especially since it was your second year, like going back, like what did you learn from that experience, especially that like the business side of pro hockey, and you could be released, traded at any time, and you just gotta keep working your way up and keep proving people wrong, proving that you belong there.
Yeah, definitely. I think my biggest takeaway was just like your pursuit on what you really want to do. Like, if you really want to play this sport and if you really want to play in the minors, like, it's going to be a grind, and you're going to be, sheep Like that's it. Like there's so many guys out there that are incredible hockey players that have different opportunity than the next guy. And I feel like my passion and my drive is always there. And, my mental game was very strong, but it wasn't strong enough at the time. Like it could always be a little bit sharper. I had to worry about not only being on the team, but developing to get back to the higher level. So you have to do everything in the system to be really good. We have to do extra for yourself to be better every day and to get back to the next level and then prove it there. And I mean, if you think about the big picture, like anyone in the ECHL, SPHL, Federal Hockey League, anything like that, you're on a minute to minute contract. Like that contract, you could be practicing after practice, get cut up in your cut or released or traded, or like there's no 1 year deal. It's day by day, minute by minute. Like when you think about it that way, you're like, all right, well, I got to live for the now and I got to do everything I can now and be as good as I can, because tomorrow could be the last day. You don't know. So I think I just took a lot of things mentally differently, and knowing that you do all that you can do and that's it. Like the rest is out of your hands. Like I used to have anxiety about like where I'm going to be in the lineup, what I'm going to be doing, if I'm on the power play or the penalty killer. And then at one point in my career, I'm like, it's all out of my hands. Like, and even recently I got even better at it, because it's like, if they ask you to do it, can you do it? Can you provide value in this avenue to be on the team and help the team win and do all those things? So me being in those places helped me in the now learn that, you have to do everything in your power to be the best player you could be. And then what type of, attributes can you bring to the team to show all your value, to be that, piece of the puzzle. So being mentally strong, I gained a lot of that there.
Yeah, I love that, because it's all about staying in the present, especially in hockey and like in sports and life. Like you just got to enjoy the moments that you have like right now, like today, because you never know what's going to happen. Like you could get released, traded, your contract just get exterminated. Like you just or gets terminated, but like anything could happen. You just got to enjoy like what you have right now.
Definitely 100%.
So then we're going to go into your first year of pro hockey here. So you played for Macon May, having played 14 games there before getting called up to the ECHL, where you played for the Missouri Mavericks. So like, where did you get your start with Macon?
So I think I played only a handful of games there. The Islanders were affiliated with Kansas City that year, and I was in prospect camp for the second time, did really good, went to Bridgeport camp. And then when they signed a lot of players, there was like a big trade with the Islanders for Michael Grabner and other guys that got traded. That kind of pushed a lot of guys down the ladder. So I ended up getting moved to Macon. I played like 4 or 5 games, got called back up to Kansas City. And then that's where I went through the journey of, being young, being a rookie, sitting around a lot, getting scratched a lot, and only played 5 games. So then, I went back down to Macon, and things got a little wild and ended up, heading home after, so many weeks of playing there. But for a first year, I think, playing that many games in the coast, playing that many games in SP, it's more than a lot of guys could ever dream of doing or making it to those levels. So I was very thankful. But looking back, I might have done some things differently. I don't regret anything, but definitely, could have learned some things at a young age that I was missing out. Obviously, not going to college and playing minor pro hockey, where some people just don't understand, and I definitely didn't understand at the time.
Yeah, for sure. But during that time in the SB, when you were with Macon, you did score a goal and you got 4 assists. Like, what was it like getting that first pro goal? And do you remember your first pro goal?
I remember perfectly.
Just like it was yesterday.
Yeah, a kid on my team that I grew up playing against roller hockey. His name's Cameron Yarwood. Michigan kid, fast skater, very creative, offensive defenseman. I had a ton of chances. Just had to put in the back of the net. Probably like a couple games in, he goes behind our net, like on a regroup, goes end to end, hanging onto the puck in the offensive zone for about 3 seconds. I get the puck like in the slot, like a baseball. He like throws a sauce, it hits a stick, goes even higher. I just waited for it to come down. I was probably in the middle of the hash marks, baseball bat, blade, right over the goalie's shoulder. So
Oh,
pretty crazy to score your first goal that way. And all the goals that I scored in my career, I'm like, that was not the way I thought I'd score my first pro one. You kind of like dream of a sick angle or, snipe bar down or something.
yeah.
This kid skates end to end, ragging the puck behind the net, throws a flub, a kid tips it, goes up even higher, comes down. I just batted in. But I think my first ever game in Macon, I didn't score my first pro goal because they don't count shootout goals, but it was a goal in the shootout. Macon hadn't had a team in 10 years or something like that since the Macon Whoopie, I believe they were called. And first ever time in that building, playing a game again, back in the SP, and first ever time, organization had a shootout or whatever. And I went first in the shootout for our team, scored a goal 5-hole, and that was a crowd erupting, pretty cool experience. Obviously, first time ever, playing in 10 years in that building. I think they were just super excited to have hockey back. And I remember that goal pretty perfectly too.
Yeah, that's awesome. They don't ask how many you scored. They ask how, or they don't ask how you did it, or like something along those
Yeah.
lines. But
Yeah.
It's not normal for that to happen, but it happens, and that's how you scored your first goal. Like you can't complain there.
Yeah, I always made jokes like, oh, if it wasn't for me practicing all these trick shots, like I probably wouldn't have scored that goal. So keep practicing.
It came in use, the trick
Exactly.
shots and everything. Yeah, that's awesome. So you throughout like the minor pro hockey grind, like you always hear about like people's like what the fuck moments. So like what was your what the fuck moment? Like what is going on?
I mean, I've seen a lot of things. Yeah, just I think things that you don't think can actually happen, like bus breaking down, you showing up late to a game, the other team really not caring, and you playing that game with a full crowd. Like I think obviously nothing happens on purpose. None of the ownership or coaches or anyone could plan for a bus
Yeah.
breaking down or weather or something like that. But I remember in the Federal League we were playing in Canada. I don't know if I've ever told this story before, but we were playing in Canada. I think I was still in Watertown. We were crossing the border and people couldn't get across the border to play.
Oh.
So our bus was like stuck at the border. We ended up getting like a handful of guys across the border that had, the right paperwork, that are US citizens going to play the game for the day and come back. And we were playing Cornwall, Ontario. And I actually think we had under 10 players on the bench. Like
Wow.
only one goalie made it across. Our trainer was our coach. Our trainer was the only adult that was on the staff that made it across. Handful of other guys couldn't get across. And I really believe that we played with two lines. Like that was it. Because I remember playing a ton of minutes. And we ended up losing the game by a lot, I'm sure. But it was an absolute debacle. And I'll never forget when I was carrying my bag into the rink. Like there's a countdown clock for warm up. So say it starts at 100 or 90 minutes, it goes all the way down, and you go out at 16 minutes. You warm up 16 to 0 or to 30, and then you go off Zam first period.
Yeah.
I remember walking into the rink, and there was 25 minutes on the clock. Like I can't even put my bag down and get dressed that fast to get the 60 minutes. And I always make a joke that I'm like one of the slowest dressers in pro hockey. So like I remember walking and looking at the clock and being like, I don't even know if I'm going to get my skeets on before warmups. And I ended up getting out there. I think I took 3 laps, a couple shots, and I got right back off the ice. And some guys literally didn't skate. They just waited for the game to start. So that was probably one of the crazier stories that I've ran into, and happens to the best of them, I guess they say. And it was what it was, but that was a heck of an experience. I think that highlight, Watertown Wolves versus Cornwall Nationals, is somewhere on YouTube.
I'll have to look that up when we get done with this. But that you always hear about those stories where it's, especially in the minors, where it's like your bus breaks down, you come late for a game, like you don't even make the game sometimes, and it's just like a bunch of like horror stories and stuff like that. But you do it for the experiences, and you get stories out of it. Like there's at least a positive there, is that you can look back on them and just laugh it off.
100%, 100%. There were so many good memories through all these years of, crazy stories where, when you're retired or my buddies are now retired, we could, talk about it and laugh. And sometimes I don't even remember some of the stories because you're like, oh, that happened. And, we still played a game after it. Like, wasn't that big of a deal. So yeah, it's pretty good. I should start writing them down so I can write a book one day.
Yeah, I'm sure you could definitely write a ton of books just based on the stories you have, the experiences, the memories, literally everything.
Yeah, I would think too.
Yeah, so I want to get into your junior hockey days a little bit here. So you began playing junior hockey in junior B with a team called the Metro Fighting Moose, where you spent 2 seasons there. So like, how did you get the chance to go play junior B for the Fighting Moose in that junior B league, and then go into the Met JHL?
I actually played a ton of roller hockey. Had a ton of friends that already playing juniors. Had some coaches literally recruit me out of roller hockey. That's the bottom line of all of it. And wasn't that good of a skater yet. Didn't love ice hockey at all. Just kind of was doing it to do it. Had some friends, like I said, motivate me, and I was super young on an older team, and really, really good team. And I remember coming in and like trying out. They were already at their team pick, so I came in during the season, just worked hard, did my thing, and then that's when I started like falling in love with the game and knowing, how much you could do in ice hockey as well. And I had to start putting some more eggs in that basket than roller hockey, which was fine. It was fun and the right timing for me to start focusing on ice hockey. So playing for them was great. They were, very, very family, very tight group, a lot of older kids. Like I said, I was one of the youngest ones on the team, had another kid my age, Patty Schul. Um, it was a blast. I learned a ton that year. I learned a ton the next year. Um, and it opened a ton of doors for me in the future to go junior A and to end up, where I end up in the BCHL.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, what are your first thoughts of junior hockey when you go on to, you get recruited from playing roller hockey, and then you go into it middle of the season pretty much in juniors, and then you just get there. Like, what are your first thoughts, and like, what's going through your head when you're over there and you don't know what to expect?
Yeah, couldn't believe one that I was so thankful that my dad drove me from Long Island to Brooklyn, because that was the team that I ended up playing on, was an hour and a half away every day to practice and to games. So I'm super blessed, but I know they helped with the tuition and did everything we could to play. So we were gonna do it, and I just remember like walking in and like them being like, "Oh, here's your stall." Like had a name bar, like had all the stuff. Where like I wasn't even playing ice hockey seriously. Like I was playing it for fun until that time. Everything was done as professional as they could do it for us. And then the other thing was like I'd played a ton of pro roller and been around stuff like that, but I'd never seen like fighting yet and huge hits like that. Like our team had 5 or 6 20-year-olds that year, and I was I think 16 at the time. So I was like, oh, this is like getting serious. And one of my first games, we had a sweet power play goal. A bunch of us made good touches, put it in, and then I remember like getting to the bench. I was talking to the coach, and I turned around, everyone's standing up on the bench and like huge brawl. I'm like, what is going on? Like this is like they all just get kicked out of the game, come back, do it again next game. Like so crazy experience in that part, but I learned so much around those older guys. And like I said, it was just something new and exciting for me to really start taking ice hockey a little bit more serious. And I think that was the perfect place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. So you go in as a 16-year-old, and like you're just coming into ice hockey at that time. So like, what do you have to learn and like fit your role, or like find your role throughout that time, especially as a 16-year-old and you're playing with 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds? Like, what do you have to do to help yourself find that role that you fit?
Yeah, I think it was good, really, really good for me. Like they had me on the power play. They had me doing skilled things that I was normally doing in roller, and trying to find my game and fine tune my game. So I always play with like a bigger, older guy and another skilled center or something like that. So it let me just be me. And I felt like there wasn't a transition because I was just playing a skilled game, using my vision, using my hands, taking a lot of shots. And then, whether it was being on the goal line on the power play or the half wall on the power play, I just felt comfortable. It just felt like something so normal to me because they were letting me kind of do my thing and like fit in where I need to fit in. And obviously they needed points. They wanted goals. I felt like I was a big contributor to that for the 2 years I played for the Metro Moose, and just found my game in ice hockey.
Yeah, for sure. You're a big contributor for the Metro Moose, where you put up 61 points and then 71 points in those 2 seasons. So like, what were those 2 years like, just gaining that confidence in ice hockey and in juniors to help yourself go on to the ATJHL the next year, and then finally find yourself going to the BCHL?
Yeah, it was really good. I found a ton of confidence there. I think I was on like an ultimate high, and that there's kind of like levels above that. And I'd watched my line mate from my second year with the Metro Moose go up to the USHL, and I had went out there and just skated for a week as well in Omaha and checked it out. And I didn't even really realize like, NA, USHL, BCHL, those 2 years of junior B, I was like, well, I just tore it up. Like, look how many points I got. Like, I could play wherever, but I didn't understand the politics behind it, nor did I understand that some of these kids played since they were 10 years old, AAA hockey, and then they go to these teams. So I didn't know any of that. And so a little bit of an awakening playing junior A in Long Island, on Long Island. And I had so much confidence, which was great, but I also had a lot of confidence where I was like, well, what's going on? Why am I not playing at these places? Look at what I did the past 2 years. And they don't care what you just did for 2 years. They want to see your pedigree and your whole background and what you've done, what you did. And they were like, well, you're coming from like this, that's it. And I was like, yeah, but it's good enough. Right. And so I ended up really, really grinding out the first 2 years in juniors. It was like third line, not playing the power play too much. And then as the season would go on, they would give my chances and then like have all my points at the end of the year. And then same thing, go into another year of junior A and play in that Premier League. It was the first year of that Premier League. Really, really good league, a lot of good teams. I think I was 18 or 19. And again, like playing on the fourth line, playing on the third line, grind, and then finally get a chance at the end of the year. And that's when I started putting up my points. So I was like, well, I know I could do it. I just need the opportunity to do it. And then I honestly thought I was done. I thought wouldn't be playing ice hockey anymore after those 4 seasons. Started playing a ton of roller, went over to France, played some roller, thought I would sign over there as a 19-year-old, play professional, sign a paid contract, the whole 9 yards. And then practicing on Long Island, doing my thing, had no hopes of playing. And I got a quick invite to prospect camp because someone got, sick or hurt or something. And there was a spot and I was on Long Island. I'd played for Junior Islanders. I played junior A there. So they knew like, I was around and they had seen me play. So they were like, hey, come to prospect camp, see what happens. And had an unbelievable camp and ended up getting a tryout in Merritt.
Yeah, that's a great story because you go throughout all these years trying to find your role, like develop even further in a gaining attraction from those other teams, building a better resume, and then you find yourself going to the USPHL and then into the BCHL with the Merritt Centennials. Like, what did you have to learn throughout all that developing at it and like going to that higher level and facing bigger and stronger players? Like, what do you have to do to help yourself develop even better, even further?
Yeah, I think the big thing going to the BCHL was I was just on a tryout. My first opportunity in a league that good, in a league like that. And I kind of got back to my roller hockey in my junior B days. And I was like, well, I'm going to go here. And if I get opportunity, I'm just going to be me. Like, they're not putting me on the third line or fourth line. Like, I'm probably not going to fight. Like, I'm going to just be me. And if they like me, I'll stay here and I'll do really well. And I think after the first preseason games, my confidence was so high. Like, I felt so good about it. And I was like, okay, I could do some damage here. Like, we got some really good players. We got a really, really sick team in this small city, first time living away. So I just came in with a ton of confidence. Thought I did as best I possibly could, playing wise in those preseason games, end up making the team and having a really successful year for myself and for the team. We went on a little bit of a run in the playoffs, end up losing to the Vernon Vipers, but really, really fun year, really good team, ton of players off of that team that went D1. couple guys that played in the American League, the National Hockey League. Josh Tevez, a defenseman. Diego Cuglietta was my line mate, played a bunch in the American League. A lot of guys made it from that small town in Merritt, playing in the BC to have a great career so far and play a lot of high level hockey after that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, how much did that like intensity of like the leagues getting better and better each year go up and like help yourself get better and like have that confidence, especially when the games get faster and there's more skill in those levels? Like how much does that intensity really impact you?
Yeah, I think it impacted a ton. I think learning a lot over those 4 years and knowing what I was good at and what I could get better at. Those 4 years gave me a ton of time to work on that. And then playing in that league, like, it was so high paced and fast and so offensive. I think it was like the best thing for me, because that's where my confidence really, strived, and played really good hockey, played with my line mates a lot. We didn't really change our line too much. So consistency was good for me. And yeah, definitely grinding it out through those 4 years of juniors and kind of seeing, the good and the bad, and learning my game. When I went to the BC, I had nothing to lose. It was my last year. Give it everything that I possibly have, leave it all out there. And I think it turned out to be one of the best years I could have dreamed of.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you say your junior career was a bit of a success?
I would say a fantastic success, coming from, roller hockey and, no extra ice, no AAA, none of that. Just, I think, an absolute success, and so thankful for my parents for doing all they did for me to make it through juniors. It definitely wasn't easy driving to Brooklyn a couple times a week.
Yeah, I love that. But at this time, I want to take that time to transition into roller hockey now for this part of the show. So you won an IIHF World Inline Championship in 2017. So can you take us through that entire road to that championship, and like how it went, like how the season went, like what went into that championship?
Yeah, so for roller, they kind of picked the USA team by tryout at the time. So we all play these pro events. I've been playing them since I was 17. I've been playing them my whole life, but I've been playing pro since I was around 17. 3 major tournaments in the summer. So it took a long time for me to get another opportunity at a tryout for USA. Been at 2. I think I was cut from 1. I missed 1 for Islander camp and hadn't been back. So I got invited back. We went to Chicago, had probably the best week of roller hockey of all of our lives. The best players in the world trying out for your country. So professionally done, ran by USA Hockey and IHF and all of that. And did really well in camp, kind of everything I ever dreamed of. So I was more prepared than anything. Make the team. We have a really good squad. We end up going to Bratislava, Slovakia. It was just such an awesome experience, like something literally out of a book for us that grew up playing roller and the highest levels wearing that Team USA jersey. So to finally put it on and go through the whole process and be in another country, representing your country, is pretty intense. So very, very blessed and thankful that we did so well. We had such a great tournament. Place I had never been before. It was actually a beautiful country, and we had a great time. We had a great team, good chemistry, and end up pulling out a huge win there in 2017.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, throughout all this time that you've been playing pro for roller, like what were some of the things that you've learned throughout this whole roller hockey experience and just being able to play it from such a young age?
Yeah, I think everything that I learned is truly from roller, whether it's, being on different teams, playing with so many different players, learning how to play with different players. Like, I was playing on so many different teams, whether it was like 18U or like 21 and under, and playing pro. Like, you could play multiple divisions at these tournaments they were playing in. So I was playing with all sorts of guys from all over the place, and just finding a way to build that team bond as quick as you can, and I mean, we picked our team in 1 week for Worlds, and then we were in Slovakia the next week playing for World Championship. So I think for me, like, I developed that skill to play with anyone, you know, work on being a good team guy, and we're all together, like hanging out, getting ready for these big battles. And definitely lucky that I kind of played with all these different types of guys, and then I felt like I could just blend right in and be a big piece to the puzzle and ultimately win a championship like we wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. You've had experiences literally everywhere: roller hockey, ice hockey, like everything. Like you have an ice hockey championship, multiple roller hockey championships, and you have a lifetime of memories and lifetime of just things to look back on throughout your life, the rest of the year of your career and everything. But what was that 2019 championship like when you won the World Roller Games championship?
Yeah, so that one was really incredible. So we had a little bit of a different team. Went to Barcelona, which was absolutely beautiful, incredible place to play. We played on this amazing rink, like right next to the beach. So we were skating from our hotel to the rink, like 2 miles to play our games, and just
That's the
it
warm
couldn't have
up.
been it couldn't have been the better setup. Like we couldn't have wished for a better setup. Crowds at the game were awesome, even if they were trying to boo us, but it was a sweet experience. Like I said, a little bit different team, but a fantastic team. Again, had that bond right away, knew what we were going in to do, defend that title, and went in there, did what we had to do, played some really tight games, played Czech in the finals, and that was the only team we had lost to in the round robin was Czech, and really, really good team. Played a great game, and then ended up pulling out another gold medal from Barcelona. So it was a little different. It wasn't USA Hockey. USA Hockey kind of pulled away. And I don't know if you see on social media, they're really pushing for roller to be in the Olympics
Yeah.
2028, I believe. I mean, I would love nothing more than to see that happen. I think roller hockey is an incredible game. I think it would grow if it was on a stage like that. I think if anyone saw the IHF or World Roller Games that we go to, like you'd be blown away at how good it's hosted and how it's put on the internet and the fans, and it's really incredible. So I think it should be in the Olympics. I hope it is really soon. Maybe there'll even be a chance that I'll be still in my prime to play. And what an incredible feeling that'll be, because what we're doing right now is awesome, and to be in the real Olympics would be super, super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to see that. And I'd be able to say, hey, I know this guy that's on the US roller hockey Olympic team. Just
Exactly.
that sounds better as well. But throughout like you're going like just traveling around with roller hockey, like what's it about going to different countries like that you don't necessarily like see over in the United States that you would over in like Czechoslovakia, Slovakia, like places like that, like Barcelona as well?
Yeah, it was different. Like Slovakia, there was like it was so jam packed downtown and like near the city, like cars parked on the sidewalk, and I'm like, this isn't like New York City. You can't do that. And they're like, no, you can. Like the population's so big here, and the one thing, like both places we went, like the food was absolutely outstanding. Like everything was so fresh, and like there was no big box grocery stores, or like it's just the world is so much different. And
Yeah.
I think for me, just like hockey, being able to take me around the world and see these beautiful places, and also look at like how we live, and that we don't realize how we live is, it's so normal to us, but we go other places and it's not like that. Like we were in Slovakia, and we stayed in a very nice hotel, and like had no air conditioner for the middle of summer, like literally 90 degrees out at
Oh,
night. And in the night it usually should cool off, and our hotel room temperature thing is saying 90 degrees, and like no air conditioner at all. Like the hotel doesn't have it, and that's in 2017. Like, so to think about that, and like, I mean, I don't think I know my house in New York doesn't have central air, but like it has an air conditioner in the window that we put in every summer. Like just little things like that made you think how grateful you are, and you're at the world stage, you're at the pinnacle of playing your sport, and you're sweating in the middle of the night. Like, I can't sleep. It's so freaking hot. And not too much to complain about, but just this is the way of life being so much different. Barcelona was awesome. Like, we were skating everywhere as a team. We'd skate to dinner at night. We'd skate to lunch in the morning. We'd just skate around to visit things that you don't get to see, museums, or, just to look at the beach, skate the whole pier. Like, had an absolute blast. So definitely a different style of living in those places. But just to say that hockey has taken me there is a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't realize what you got until you go somewhere and they don't have that.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So, John, I have a few more questions for you before we wrap things up here. So to start things off, do you have any tips for players looking to get to that next level?
Work as hard as you can. Everyone has 24 hours in the day. So if you use those 24 hours as best you can, I think it's endless. I think there's so many people out there, and I'm one of them too. Like, you got your phone, you might have a PlayStation, Xbox, all your friends might want to go out, party, or do whatever. Like, your prime years from 15 to 20, like the developmental side of it can be so huge if you just lock in. Like, everyone literally gets the same amount of time. It's truly how bad you want it. Like, you could watch the motivational videos, you could be on your phone, you could study it all. Like, just go out there and do it. Get a stick in your hand, practice any way you can. Your driveway, your basement, it doesn't matter. Just get the work in, and you could literally be anything you dream of if you practice it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that because you really do have 24 hours in a day and everyone else has the same amount of time. Like, there's no excuses for you not to be working on something constantly, and like overall, like, no excuses. So then my next question for you is what is a day in the life of John Schiavo on a game day?
Love my nap on game day. Tell you that. Been doing that
Pre-game
my
nap
whole
guy.
career. Pre-game nap. Usually wake up early, get a little stretch in, breakfast, head to the rink. I love morning skate. Just get some touches. I know a lot of teams are getting away from that, but I love it. Thankful that the teams I play on still do it, even if it's a small group on the ice. Get your touches in, stretch a little after, come home, get a really good meal. Usually load up on something with chicken, chicken or shrimp on game day usually, and then get a good nap in, and then head to the rink super early. I usually walk in the doors by like the latest 4:10 on game day for a 7 o'clock start. So I just love being at the rink, thinking about just the game on game day. Stay away from my phone as much as I can. Stay off social media, all that stuff, and just really focus on the game. No, that's what you're there to do. You're there to put on a show. You're there to be as best you can be. So locking in on those days for me is fun, and I just want to be around the rink as much as I can on game day, just to be messing with my stick handling, visualizing, and get ready for a fun game.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your optimal nap time? Like, how long do you nap for?
I'd say I don't ever break 2 hours. I mean, hour and a half is plenty, I think, especially with a good night's sleep prior. I'd say if I'm sleeping around 30 minutes, I want more than that. I'll wake up and try to go back to sleep. But yeah, usually anywhere between 30 to 2 hours, something like that. Just that middle of the day is like a weird time where like you don't want to be awake and like doing things, because then you'll
Yeah.
wear yourself out for later. I know a lot of people that like go to the mall and walk around, or like go and do things in that time, and I just like cool it down, turn off my brain, relax, and then once I wake up, it's game on.
Yeah, absolutely. You just like to relax a little bit before the game, because you gotta show up when the game time, when the puck drops. You gotta show up.
Mm-hmm.
So then my final question for you is, what's your favorite pump up song? You're trying to get a little lift in, like get the juices flowing, like a pregame warm up. Like, what are you listening to?
This is a crazy one for me. I never get asked this question, but my playlist is bananas. It goes from rap music, like pop, Drake, Eminem, to like country, like complete country music. So like working out. I could basically work out to anything, dance music or club music, whatever you want to call it, to rap music. And then if I'm just, riding the bike, going for a walk, going for a run, like country music on a nice day, anything like that. So my playlist is kind of all over the place for sure.
Yeah, I feel that I'm the same way. Like when I'm in my car going to a game, I flip from 96.3, so that's pop, and then I go 99.5 country. It's just anything that's boosting the energy. Like that's what you want on a game day before or before practice. That's what you want. Just get the energy going, get everything going.
Exactly. As long as it's upbeat, like it could be an upbeat country song or upbeat rap, anything like that gets the blood going for me.
Oh yeah, love that. Absolutely. But John, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time. And I look forward to following your career the rest of the way.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. It was a blast.
Yeah, no problem.